Warm welcome to CEO and founder of sharEvery, Mr. Ram Babu and his dedicated team. sharEvery is a non-profit education organization that teaches English speaking and to enhance English for various stakeholders. We have members across the world and we have many formats catering each stakeholders like kids, adults and advanced meeting. Today, this meeting is advanced meeting. Sharon said, mindfulness isn't difficult. We just need to remember to do it. We will know more about it as we go along. Today, we have a person who does not require introduction, who gets a smile all the time, whose dream has come true to enhance English. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ram Babu to introduce our keynote speaker. Mr. Ram Babu.
I'm Coach Ram Babu and founder and MD of the sharEvery platform. And thanks for inviting me to introduce the eminent speaker, coach, mentor, author, mindful master, Coach Laura Mae Jones from North Carolina, USA. We are so happy. I don't tell or talk much about Laura ma'am. If we treat her, she is a teenager, kid, and good teacher, guide, and everything. I have been traveling with Laura ma'am for a couple of months. Recent past, I talked with Laura ma'am and I invited her for one-on-one interview session, and this is the second meeting with her. I'm so impressed of her. She is a creator of inner peace and she is self-lover and also compassionate for others to spread love and kindness in the world. So it shows her uniqueness in her own life. So we are so blissful to have these kind of eminent or well-experienced coaches from across the globe on this platform. And I'm handing the floor to you. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Now I request Laura ma'am to address us.
Good evening, everyone. It is so wonderful to be here. I'm very humble and honored and privileged to be sitting here with you this evening to speak to you about the concepts and healing powers of mindfulness. I love mindfulness, as anyone that knows me knows. So I'm happy to speak about it with you. And I'd like to tell you that I started learning about mindfulness in 2012 when I took some dialectical behavior therapy courses. I was later certified in that, but in 2018, I actually became a certified mindfulness mentor master, and it has transformed my entire life. Prior to learning mindfulness, I suffered a great deal from depression and anxiety. It was very paralyzing. It held me back from achieving my dreams and goals. And once I learned mindfulness and started practicing it, within a short period of time, I have had dreams come true set new dreams, have had those dreams come true. And now I'm here globally, which is just mind-boggling to me, because at my lowest point, in my darkest days, I actually ended up on life support. And when I woke up, I had a purpose, and that purpose was to become a trailblazer in the United States to impact mental health reform, because I had taken that journey for 30 consecutive years as a patient, wanting to recover, wanting to be happy, wanting to be healthy. And all they offered pretty much then was medications and talk therapy. They did not offer tools. They did not teach you skills to cope. We were taught how to think. We were taught what to think, not how to think. And now things have changed so much with mindfulness going worldwide that it gives me so much hope for the future. And my hope is to be a ripple of loving kindness across the globe and shine light into the darkness of people who have little hope, because all things are possible. We all want the same things. We are one. We are one human race. We are made of the same energy, the same genes, the same molecules as each other across the globe. And with the world, with COVID and all the things that we face, it is so important that we join together like we are tonight, of like minds wanting to be a better world for our youth, because our youth is going to take over. And we are here to learn together. So with that, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is simple, like he said. It is paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non-judgmentally, and with full attention with your senses. For example, if you're driving, are you paying attention to your driving, or are you thinking about your presentation, what's for dinner, those kind of things? We have so much multitasking to do in our modern world that it is so important that we learn to pause and connect and be mindful. So the way I started doing that was to become aware. Awareness of my inner self, awareness of my values, and if my actions aligned with my values, so that the world was seeing what I wanted them to see, my authentic self. When we learn to live mindfully and non-judgmentally, it clears so much space in our life to live our dreams. And the reason that is because we are no longer living in the past. The past is gone. We can't go back there. There's no sense dwelling on the past. We only have the moment. We are not promised tomorrow, so we don't need to think too far into the future. We have to plan, of course, but we don't have to get caught up in the thoughts of worrying about every detail of our future, because it's not here yet. So when you learn to savor the moment and you're present, you are deeply listening in your relationships. You are aware with all of your senses. And it creates better relationships for your family, your coworkers, your friendships, and with yourself. When we are judgmental, we're a lot of times judgmental on ourselves as well. We compare ourselves to others, we think negative, we get stuck in those thoughts and emotions. When we live mindfully, we no longer fear being judged. We no longer compare ourselves to others, because we are all unique. We are all like a snowflake, magnificently made, and we are one. And as long as we practice mindfulness, and there are different ways of practicing mindfulness. There's mindfulness meditations, body scan type of mindfulness. I prefer nature. I love to be out in nature, and that is where I do my most mindful meditation, because I just be. We are so busy doing, that we need to learn to just sit and be. Be still. When we are still and we're not caught up in our thoughts, because we're always going to have thoughts. Our brains are meant to think. We just accept our thoughts. We don't struggle with them like we did. We don't fight with them. We don't get stuck in them. We observe our thoughts like leaves falling off a tree. You notice them, but you don't get attached to them like in the past. And when I am at my lake and I am observing the water, the glistening on the water, the leaves falling off the tree, the color of the leaves, the breeze against my face, the feel of the earth beneath my feet, and I'm just being. That is when I connect with my higher power, God, and my authentic self. And it is in the pause of those moments that we receive our most clarity and the best way to achieve our goals and dreams, and what our purpose is, and what the next right thing to do is. It is in those paused moments. And another beautiful benefit of mindfulness is it's not costly. We are all born with the ability. We just need to learn the tools, which is just to pause, be mindful. When you're eating, eat. Taste your food. Look at the colors. Taste it. Smell the aroma. Notice the texture. You will be much more satisfied. I was able to lose over 150 pounds by learning to eat mindfully. And I have maintained that weight loss for almost 10 years, I believe. It was like 2011 that I reached my goal. So yeah, a decade. I have been maintaining my weight, and it's because I learned to live mindfully and not. There were times I would eat and I'd go to eat something and I already ate it and forgot I even ate it. I'm there, where did that go? I knew I had to have the sandwich there. I was so caught up in my thoughts I couldn't enjoy my life. Once I practiced mindfulness, and I started out small because I was busy, a working mother and children around and just the demands of life. And I thought, how can I do another thing? You can just do it whenever you have the thought to pause and be mindful. And the more you practice, the better you get. And now I can honestly say I have lived it so long and with intent that it is second nature to me. And that has opened me up to live a very joyful life with inner peace and love. I have faced all my fears and rose above them. And it's all because of being mindful and accepting failure, because we will fail. If we're not failing, we're not trying. So we are going to have failures, but we learn from those, and that we do the next right thing, and next thing you know, you've succeeded at that goal. Just like with weight loss, I didn't lose weight every week. I had my setbacks, but I achieved my goal and maintained it. So all in all, I am successful at that. And also, my relationships have changed dramatically. I keep my circle smaller. I used to be more of quantity, more than quality of my relationships. But the more I learned how important it is to be surrounded by positive people who build you up and support you and don't hurt you or belittle you, it really matters. And I learned to set healthy boundaries for myself by learning mindfulness and self-love and self-care, because if we don't, we can get hurt very badly, or people we love can get hurt very badly if we don't have healthy boundaries. One of the other benefits of mindfulness, besides reducing depression, anxiety, learning to live joyfully, is a scientific study that really excites me. It is about the telomeres, and I'm jumping ahead a little. Every chromosome in our body has telomeres, and there's a slide for that. So when we get to that, I will explain that to you, but that is the most exciting benefit, and I will be explaining that. This here, rather than being your thoughts and emotions, be the awareness behind them. I call that being the silent observer. It's when we step back from our thoughts instead of being in them, being stuck in them. We're able to observe them, we're able to accept them, and we're able to stay in the present moment and let them go. Learning to let go of past and pain is so important. Forgiveness is so important. Mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present. Since living mindfully, I am quite a creative person. I have become, I can oil, I can paint, I'm a Dollar Tree crafter. I love to be creative. And I really have enjoyed that I'm pretty good at it. And I never knew I had some of these skills or qualities until I learned to live mindfully. Because like I said, when you let go of the past and don't stress about the future, it empties your mind so much space. You can actually focus on your values and what you want to do and what you want to achieve. Overthinking is the biggest cause of our unhappiness. I agree completely. Overthinking about the future or the past, fearing everything. My favorite quote by Rumi, I'm sure you've all heard of Rumi, but he says, "Look past your thoughts so you may drink the pure nectar of this moment." Every moment is a gift. As long as you have your breath, you have hope and you have life, because there'll be another moment and all things change. Just like the ocean, you have waves, you have the tide come in. Life is like that. We're gonna have our ups and downs, but knowing that everything continues to change, you can always know this too shall pass. So when you're facing difficult times and you're struggling with thoughts and emotions, always know all things are possible through God, who strengthens us and delivers us from these things. And never give up hope, because things will improve and things will come along that we will need to cope with. And to me, success is not about what you make, what assets you have. It is about finding self-compassion, self-love, so that you can give the best of yourself to the world and to make the world a better place, one person at a time. We are all like a ripple of kindness, and my ripple will touch your ripple. We're all going to be ripplers. Who wants to be a rippler? I live with an attitude of gratitude. One of the first things I did in a mindful practice was to start a gratitude journal. You can write it on a sticky note. You can write it in a beautiful book. You can put it on a note on your phone. However, the more grateful we are for what we have, it brings happiness. Happiness is a result of living mindfully. It just is. They go hand in hand because you are grateful for what you have. Things can always be worse. Mindfulness also makes us so much more resilient. I was not able to cope with much prior to learning to live mindfully. In 2018, I found my son unresponsive, and I was able to save his life. He was 40 years old. My husband and I came home, and we don't know how long he had not been breathing, but he was already stiff. We were not able to move him when the ambulance paramedics asked us to. It took them 8 minutes to get there. If I hadn't practiced mindfulness, that could have turned out to be such a tragedy, because I was able to stay focused until the paramedics got there and airlifted him. He was on life support for a few days, and despite what the doctors told us, I walked by faith and not by sight. And I wasn't going to listen to what those doctors were telling me about him going to be brain dead, that if he did wake up, he would be needing to be hospitalized and would have severe brain damage. I know God has the last word, and I just kept walking by faith, and 4 days later, my son woke up, and he is 100% perfect, a man of God, thriving in another state with my grandchildren very happily and doing wonderfully. Shortly after that, within a matter of a couple weeks, we had a hurricane here in North Carolina, and we lost our power for 4 days and most of our belongings. We lost all of our pictures from our whole life except what we had on Facebook. So we have some, but we have our memories, and we're making more pictures and that type of thing. But the resilience that comes out of being mindful is just amazing, because the more we are mindful, we actually are building muscle in our brain. Our brain is a muscle just like our heart, and it needs exercise just like our body. And so if you exercise your mind doing coloring, I loved coloring. That's what I started with. I thought, I can stay in the lines. Next thing you know, I'm painting. Next thing you know, I'm doing huge things. And I realized that we're limitless. The only limits we have are the limits that we put on ourselves. And that is so profound to me, because I never thought in a million years I would be capable of doing some of the things that I have been able to achieve. And it is by letting go of all the negative judgments, living in the present with awareness of everything with my senses. No longer do I get distracted all the time. I am able to pay attention. I had attention deficit all through school, and it was very, very challenging. But now my mind is like a clear little warehouse, and I can pay attention, and I can take away what I want and need to take from any situation. I'm able to stay focused and present. We learn to notice. We learn to be kind. Kindness is a choice. Kindness is something that is so easy to do. And just a smile to a stranger is priceless. Sometimes that person just needs to know that love still exists in the world, because we never know what anyone else is going through. I found everyone has a story. We all have hard times and difficult times. So just smile at anyone and be kind. And relaxation is so important. We need to learn to let go of anger, let go of fear. Just face everything and rise. You can do it. And those are the 4 qualities. This is my most exciting benefit. What I learned about these telomeres, all of our chromosomes have these telomeres. And at the end are those little sensors. And stress and lifestyle make those degrade and make us age prematurely or develop diseases. You know, heart disease, things like that. Some of these things are genetic. But what they've learned by studying mindfulness is when we are mindful and we build the muscle, we are lengthening our telomeres, which gives us better health and longer life. And I believe that because I am going to be 65 years old. And since being mindful, I know I have no pain in my body. I have no aches and pains. I am so blessed. I had cancer in 2020. I beat that. I was here doing what I do, not worrying about that, doing what they told me and going on with my life. I didn't get stuck in it. And here I am, cancer-free. And my telomeres are just growing back. They're probably as long as my hair. No. But I just think that is such an amazing discovery. And that was discovered by a woman named Liz Blackburn in Australia. In 2009, she received the Nobel Peace Prize for her study on the telomere effect. And that is just a wonderful, that is just proof that is so important to learn to be mindful. And the fact that it can be done by anyone and you don't need to pay for it, it can change the world. And that is my hope. And okay, so different ways of practicing mindfulness is to pay attention and live in the moment and to accept yourself and to focus on your breathing. That is the most important one to me because your breath is with you anywhere, anytime. You don't need anything to go back to your breath. As long as you're breathing, you're still alive. And be glad to be alive because as long as you're alive, anything is possible. All things are possible. And I also wanted to let you know that my husband is going to join and give his insights on what he feels about mindfulness, the benefits of mindfulness, because he witnessed my complete paradigm shift. Everything in my life did a 360. So without further ado, he's going to slide in here. And I'd like you to meet my husband, John Jones, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself and his insight on mindfulness as well.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning. My name is Master Sergeant John Jones, United States Marine Corps, retired. I had done 30 years in the Marine Corps, and I do have some aches and pains, but due to a grueling career choice, I guess. I love mindfulness. Mindfulness is the way to live if you want to continue to progress. I had taken a listen to some other folks this morning, and falling forward, because we're all probably going to fall at some point in our life, and it's always better to fall forward. You know, I can do things 100 times and fail and fall back and be depressed and this and that and the other, but on the 101st time, by continuing to keep doing it and fall forward, I can get on to what I have get on to doing. I don't know, mindfulness to me is kind of simple, because while in the Marine Corps, you are faced with a lot of diversities, and you don't have time to really ruminate about things, because there's being in combat, when people are dying and bullets are flying, you just don't have time for racial issues or anything like that. You just don't have time for that, and you have to live in the present moment. You have to know what's going on around you, and doing it now is simple. Like Laura said, second nature. I get up in the morning and open my eyes and take my first breath. The first things out of my mouth is thank you, Lord. Right? I mean, that's what you would want to say, because being grateful is how I try to live my life. I'm a type of person that the glass is half full. You know what I'm saying? My glass is half full. Now, to me, hey man, I got half a glass left. Now, some folks, they kind of look at that in a downwards way, and it just, I don't know, I don't have time to do that. Looking at something in a downwards way to me, well, anything that brings a negative thought to my mind, to me, is taboo. I try to wash it out and replace it with something positive as soon as I can, if there is a negative thought that pops into my mind, which isn't frequently actually, but if something does pop in there, boom, it's done with it. I wash it out, I pop it in with something positive. To me, being positive gives me joy. It makes my day better. It it just helps me live like a better life. I swear to God it does. Because I'm telling you folks, and this is no line, but we're all humans, and we've all had our shares of up and down, like Laura said, but the most of us, sometimes, I'm saying sometimes, but the most of us kind of lives in the past. 80% of the time, actually, scientifically, if you want the numbers, 80% of your thoughts are messing with the past, which is past the past. The past the past. Now's now. What time is it? It's now. Right? So you can't, if you was to project anything that you wanted to do to make yourself better, you'd probably want to project the happiest, best of you that you want to project to people. And in doing that, it just makes life easier for me. I do suffer from some physical discomforts. I have issues with my physical body. It's literally falling apart as we speak. But instead of dwelling on that, I've got some techniques that I've used to train my brain to not, or to kind of ignore even pain, physical pain. So the techniques and benefits of living mindfully for me is outweighs anything in the world, and as easy as it could be to just think it in a positive, loving, kind way, not judgmentally, presently. Oh man, there's nothing better.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. So yes, we've come a long way. We've been married 22 years, and Mindfulness has changed everything for me. It's improved our marriage, of course. It's hard to live with someone that's very depressed all the time. It's draining. So it's good to let go. Don't stress over things you can't control or change. That takes a lot of stuff off your plate because we don't have a lot of control over a lot of things. So always be kind and loving to yourself. Do not beat yourself up. Quiet your mind, pause, connect with your higher source and your authentic self, and wash away your soul of the dust of everyday life. So be mindful, pause, and connect. I thank you so much for your attention, for being here and listening to me today, for letting me introduce my husband and put his input in as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, madam. Thank you so much for Madam Laura and Mr. John for the wonderful explanation about mindfulness.